You from New Jersey?
But we'll get into this episode here. And like we said, super, super excited to be joined by one of the geniuses from Jersey. As me and Rich always point out, me and Rich are the no geniuses. But of course, there are some geniuses, and I guess maybe in this case a connoisseur would be more appropriate. But we have the producer and a great filmmaker of a great short documentary film, One All the Way, which is about the history of Jersey's Texas Weiner and much, much more. It's actually hot off of a win at the Julian Dubuque Film Festival. And it's been making the film festival rounds. So let's welcome to the show David Baram. Welcome aboard.
Nice. Hey, David.
Hey, guys. Thanks. Thrilled to be joining you from California.
Nice to be from sunny Cali. I mean, it's starting to warm up here in Jersey, but we've had a couple days above 70 so far, and we're heading into May, wow. So I could take some California sunshine for sure, but really excited to have you on, though, as just to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up as to how this all came to be on my end. But I'm literally at home one day. Obviously, during coronavirus, we're all doing a lot more cooking. So I'm sitting at home one day, literally YouTubing how to make Jersey Texas Weiner sauce. And I stumble across the trailer for this film, One All the Way, and I watch it, and the trailer looks amazing. But, of course, on YouTube, you never know, the years that things are put out or not. So I'm assuming this is some, ancient piece of Jersey history. So happy to find out that I'm, right in the midst of the storm. And it was right before the Garden State Film Festival, so I was able to watch a virtual screening of that. And like I said, you've been on the road to Julian Dubuque Film Festivals and everything. So I guess before we get into the hot dogs and all the fun, but what's it like, Ben, being on the circuit here and now a film director, awards, podcasts?
Wow.
It's been great, particularly as you guys know, the whole world has been virtual essentially, and we premiered it a couple of weeks ago at the Garden State Film Festival, which was a bit of a hybrid, mostly virtual with a bit of a live component. The cool thing, and we're just starting the run. We got a couple of awesome festivals coming up, the Oscar qualifying festivals that we were fortunate to get into. The Julian Dubuque thing was one of the first festivals in the entire country that was 100% in person. So that was,
interesting.
Was really cool.
And where was that located? You were saying that was in
Dubuque, Iowa, which is this old mill town. It used to be actually, as I learned, as big as Chicago. Industry left, but it on the Mississippi River on the east coast of Iowa. So
okay, I see. So what do they know about Jersey dogs on the east coast of the Mississippi in Iowa?
Yeah, well, what's cool is that, obviously, like you guys and people, and part of the motivation for the film, which we can get into, but which was, people in and around Patterson area know the hot Texas Weiner. Nobody else in the entire country knows what the heck it is. So the fact
they all know a chili dog, but they don't know a Texas Weiner. If they, and I guess we'll get into the dogs in a minute. But you did, just as we were saying, how did the project come to be? Because you're the son of Harry, who's the feature, kind of the main star, of course, in the short, and he's the gentleman leading the hot dog crawl. And we'll kind of talk about we'll explain the film in a minute. But how did the whole thing come together?
Grew up and I was born in Patterson. And,
nice.
I'm not sure it was a great sign of parenting, but grew up on a weekly basis, basically either going to the Falls View when it was open, and then eventually gravitated to the Golfo Grill and the Hot Grill. And it really wasn't, I was the first person in my extended family to go to college. So we lived a kind of, just like a lot of folks, just stayed in and around North Jersey. And then when I finally went away to college, it was the first time I realized, because I went up to Boston, and I realized that, geez, nobody knows what the heck a hot Texas Weiner is. I thought the whole world knew it. But,
not even even if somebody from Texas doesn't know, you'd figure at least.
Exactly. I had a buddy that.
And it's also funny because there's so many regional hot dogs that are famous. Chicago's got famous dogs. Even New York City is famous for the Kraut. And, there are just regional hot dogs are a thing that exist. And yet the Jersey Texas Weiner gets left off the list all the time.
Exactly. Now, I moved to L.A. I'm going to date myself here, but I moved around 90. And just as I was leaving, this is before everything was online, there was an article in New Jersey Monthly called The History of the Hot Texas Wiener. And
Okay.
I'm sure you guys have had this experience. I've had that article, like my personal folders for 30 plus years. And every 5 years I'd come across it. And I'd like, I got to do something with this one day. And then sort of my day job, if you will, we produced film and TV, and we were one of the producers on the film The Irishman, and
wow.
Scorsese is one of our clients, and a lot of that actually was shot. Like the exteriors were shot in Patterson, and we'd have like folks come back and say, "Geez, we went to this place because it was still it was still open at the time." Going to Libby, saying, "Oh, we found this really cool concoction called the Hot Texas
Okay,
Wiener."
wow.
And so then when you add all that together,
Kind of was the spark of inspiration. Some of the some outside eyes getting their first Texas Wiener.
I've been to every one that he's mentioned because I live right.
Yeah, Rich lives over. You live right by the Hot Grill and all.
Where do you live in Clip, so you must be going to the Hot Grill, right?
I'm not a big fan of the Hot Grill. My kids love it. My daughter lives in Boston. When she was growing up as a kid, she would eat anything except like pasta with no sauce on it. Very finicky eater. She came back from Boston. I was surprised. She went to the Hot Grill, got everything all the way. Hot dogs, hamburgers. Like
She'd eat plain hot dogs or plain pasta or hot dogs all the way. That's all.
I couldn't believe it. My kids love it. I'm not. It's okay, but it's not my thing. I'm more.
I'm more of a Ruts Hut guy, we'll say. But we'll get into the
not
dogs.
even Ruts Huts, yeah.
We'll get into the dogs in a minute, though. But
we're gonna have a Hot Texas Wiener. Where will you go?
I like Hiram's up in Fort Lee. I like Hiram's.
But that's not really a Hot Texas Wiener, right?
Right.
Yeah, they don't have the Hot Texas Wiener style.
If I told you how many emails I get from, well, you left this off, you left that off, but this was about this was just about the Hot Texas Wiener. That's it.
Yes.
So even the guys, as you saw the film, they go on a bunch of different hot dog crawls, for things other than the Hot Texas Wiener, but the idea about this was like strictly the Hot Texas Wiener.
The Hot Texas Wiener sauce. Let's talk about I definitely want to get into a lot of the fun Jersey food and all that kind of stuff. But before, just to catch the people up, you want to give your version of what the film actually is. Explain the film in total for everybody, just to catch everybody up before we dive too deep into Jersey hot dogs. I don't want to forget about this amazing film. I can easily bury the lead by talking hot dogs, but.
Well, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the film is about three elderly Jersey guys who are in search of the world's greatest hot Texas Wiener, and then along the way, they find out what happened to their hometown of Patterson, New Jersey. So you're right. It's the hot dog. It's a big part of it. It's sort of the vehicle that drives the whole story, but it's really about. Or the intent of it was about some larger issues dealing with everything from aging and the economic.
That's really what I loved about it. It was so multi-layered because it was fun hot dog history and foodie kind of stuff, but really more about the rise and fall of this great Jersey city, and also just the tale of like what the hot dog meant to this guy, which is, you can really tell that, your father has a real connection towards the Jersey hot dog. It's a meaningful, it's more than a piece of food to him. And people can relate to that in the food, No,
you're right. It's as much cultural as it is about the food itself. Just these places just mean something to so many people that grew up in the area. It's just been one of the coolest parts of the experience is just so many folks reaching out to me. I live in Florida now, but my grandfather used to take me to Libby's or to Falls View.
And I mean, and a hot dog, like Rich was saying with his daughter, it's like a kid-friendly, family-friendly food, and it is a generational thing where, my parents took me to Johnny and Hangy's. They actually were from Chicago, so I was kind of introduced to the Jersey hot dog from the skeptical eyes of like Chicago hot dog fanatics, that weren't quite fried hot dog. Actually, and as well, we should maybe catch people up.
You probably went to the original Johnny and Hangy's when you were a kid, right?
Actually, I did not. I'm from the Fair Lawn Johnny and Hangy's era. I grew up kind of more in the 90s, and I'm a little bit younger. I grew up when it had moved to Fair Lawn, but you hear the history. They have the great like plaque on the wall, and all that. But you want to as well, actually, just real quick, tell everybody that might not know what the Jersey Texas Wiener even is and what we're talking about, because like you said,
yeah, the hot Texas Wiener is it's a lamb encased, specially manufactured prepared hot dog because it has to withstand very extended deep frying. You know, a normal hot dog would just disintegrate if you fried it like that. So
and that is like the main Jersey. That's like the foundation of a Jersey dog. No matter where you go, they all got to be deep fried. And I guess the lamb case, I just learned that with the film, that the lamb case is
or high runs, like you say. But and then it's it's got its own unique steam bun and special kind of mustard, and then what also kind of really caps it off, in addition to raw, a lot of raw onions, which will stick with you for days. Is a sort of secret recipe, chili sauce, bean chili sauce that all these grill owners like guard with their lives. So that's what it won all the way is if you have all of those ingredients on top of that specially prepared hot dog.
Yes, that is the official all the way, and it is one of those fun as a kid. It's slightly intimidating actually when you go in to make your first order, but it's like the Philly cheesesteak. You have to know how to order it. There's the whole. But how do you take yours? I'm a no onion guy. I go all the way, but like you said, all those raw onions.
My standard order is two no onion. And to your point, you would never. You're an amateur if you go into these places and use the term hot dog, right? So you just go in.
Yeah, that's a given. We know what you're.
They know if you say two onion, that means it's two hot dogs all the way, less the onion. So that's the onions.
No, but it is a fun part. It's like that Saturday night. It's like that Belushi sketch with Saturday Night Live at the Greek diner where they're calling out the food. It's like the that's part of the experience back there.
Right.
How about you, Rich? How do you take your Jersey dog? How do you take
They used to call ours two money makers. I used to go to Harry's Corner and Little Ferry. It was great. I'll go with the no onions too. But not that I haven't had them, but I'll go with everything no onions. That's
now. How about this? Is it sacrilege or is it okay to add cheese? Because at Johnny and Angie's you can throw cheese on that bad boy as well. And now that's really and all the way with cheese. Now that's.
I haven't seen that, and as you may, you probably saw the final scene in the film is at Johnny and Angie's, so they were awesome.
Yes, and they were kind of how I was, and I guess like in the film, the big four that they attend on the film, to give them all plugs, just great Jersey, establishments that deserve shout-outs, but the Goffle Grill and the Hot Grill, and then the Riverview, which is one that I'm not familiar with. I've never been to the Riverview, but is that one still in Patterson?
Riverview East. It's right on the Passaic River if you remember the old Markel.
Yeah,
it's like right next door to that.
Okay,
I love that place. I still go there. I love that place. They got a lot. I live off of that food there. Believe me.
Yeah, it's great. Nice. You're right. It's great.
And then the last one was Johnny and I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
Oh, I was going to say to Rich's point about Riverview East. A lot of people, and myself included, kind of always thought of these places as strictly about the hot dog, but it's pretty extraordinary how serious they take all their other food. They are all, nothing's frozen. They're carving all their meats every day. The soups are super fresh. The quality of food at these places is shockingly good.
Yeah, no, for
absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. I love going there. I get the chicken and everything. I haven't had anything bad there yet.
Well, Mike, I think I'm going to mispronounce his last name. The guy who owns that is from Greece. Actually, so the river, we as you might remember in the film, we have this family tree, and what's incredible is all of these grills, literally almost every single one stem from the same two Greek and Italian families that started this way back in the
Now, when you say stemmed from, like literally family members or employees or
exactly family members, and the Riverview East was originally started by Bill Betts, who's in the film. He's now 98 years old, I believe. And thank God he's still alive. And he started Riverview East. And now it's run and owned by this guy, Mike, who's owned it for 30 plus years.
Great guy.
From Greek. Yeah, absolutely.
Great guy.
Yeah, that was. And now, is that with the what would you? And I guess the last one that they attend in the film is Johnny and Angie's, which we talked about. And I grew up going to the Fairlawn location, which is like the new and improved version. But I was kind of under the impression that was the original Texas Weiner was the Johnny and Henji's stand. Do you want to clarify? I also worked at a bar in New York City that claimed to be, for like 10 years, that claimed to be the oldest bar in New York. And I can tell you firsthand there's like 15 oldest bars in New York.
Yeah.
So it's a sliding scale. But what's your impression on the originations of the Texas Weiner?
All of these grills started, before people had cars for all intents and purposes. So if you lived in the Riverside section of Patterson back in the day in the 30s, because I think Johnny Henry's was back in 1939, I believe, is
just real quick, but 1939, while Lou Gehrig was giving his speech about the luckiest man in the world, July 4th, 1939 was the opening day of Johnny and Henry's.
I think I've read that article that's on the wall in Johnny and Henry's. No, but the original is a guy named John Petrellis, but back to 1920 actually, when when those factories were super vibrant, and he had a hot dog stand in the Patterson Hotel, which then burnt down. He moved across the street, and he came up. Most of the historians attribute him as the creator of the thing. He had a guy that was working for him that opened Libby's in 1936.
Okay, I see.
So then Libby's kind of became the granddaddy of them all, and then somebody who was at Libby moved across the street and opened the Olympic, and then some of them left and opened Falls View. So three biggies were Libby's, the Olympic, and Falls View, and then sadly during COVID, when Libby's closed down, none of them are still survived.
So has Libby's officially closed during the pandemic here?
Yeah, we shot Libby's in January, thank goodness, and then a few months later, it closed down. So because really the story of the grills, not to get way off track, is it was like how far could you expand beyond the Patterson Falls? Because it was, the falls where all these factories were, and it was the falls where you had all these immigrant labor populations, and you needed to feed them like fast, cheap food.
Yeah.
And they all started around the falls, and then over time, as the populations moved away from the falls, the grills did. But Libby's at least remained until, sadly, about 7 or 8 months ago.
I didn't realize that it closed.
Come back to Jersey, you moron!